You know, I heard that Acorn was meeting here, but I knew it wasn't the case because I came on. Nobody gave me anything free at taxpayer expense, so I know this is not an Acorn meeting. All right, this is a Tea Party, so let me start out with a question. Are you taxed enough already?
Yeah!
You want your taxes raised again?
No!
How about government takeover of your health care?
No!
Well, I figured you might say that. Again, my name's Kelly Shackelford. I'm president of Free Market Foundation. Basically, for a number of decades now, we've fought for the values that you care about, and that is limited government, constitutional freedoms, and solid family values. But I'm going to start, I want to get a survey from you, and that's why I want as many people down here as we can to get rowdy. A $785 billion stimulus bill that was passed when 2/3 of this country said we don't want that stimulus bill. Do you agree with that? What about that same $785 billion stimulus bill being passed without any congressman having the opportunity to read through it? Do you agree with that? How about the U.S. now is the largest shareholder of GM and Chrysler? They're firing CEOs. They're putting people in charge of the car industry who have no experience in the automobile industry. Do you agree with that? We now have one less czar, but we still have over 30 czars who have been appointed, who are paid for with your taxpayer money that the Congress did not approve and that are not accountable to the Congress. Do you agree with that? There are 90 million taxpayers, actual taxpayers in this country. If you take the total of the stimulus bill, the bailout, and the auto bailout, that is $19,000 extra dollars per taxpayer. Do you agree with that? Under the budget passed by Congress, over the next 10 years, our national debt will triple, putting that on our children and grandchildren. Do you agree with that? Under that same budget, did you know that the death tax is about to come back and that they're going to take half of your assets when you die and they're going to destroy family businesses? Do you agree with that? And now, since the government has done such a great job with everything else, they want your health care. Do you agree with that? That's what I thought. Well, I wanted to set that forward because today can't be the end. Today has to be the beginning. And so I want you to do something with me because I want you to leave this place and cause more trouble than you did by coming here. Okay? Take out your cell phone. Now, if you don't know how to text, turn to your son or your daughter or your granddaughter, your grandson, okay? But all you've got to do, I want you to text me, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you, and we're not going to give your information to anybody, I'm going to send you for free a legislative guide that will have all of your representatives, all their phone numbers, all their emails, and everything. And I'm going to tell you how important that is in a little bit, but you've got to follow up after this, and if you don't even know who your people are, you're not going to have any impact. So take out your phone, and all you got to do is text to the number 91011. That's 91011, 91011. Text the word T, T-E-A. Again, you text it to 91011, text the word T, and we will send you a legislative guide so you can know who all your people are from now on, because you've got to follow up after this. And you might think, well, does that really make a lot of difference? Absolutely. Let me give you one example from the legislative session that just ended. I don't know how many of you know this, but this last legislative session in Texas, they changed the law. All of a sudden, for the first time in Texas history, the bill that passed, but it had not yet been signed by the governor, Child Protective Services was going to be able to take your children, transport them, interrogate them, without having to show any just cause at all, and no notice to the parent. For years, our law had said, you got to have just cause before you take my child. They wiped that out. If you could have seen the legislation, there was a line through just cause. They took it out. And the government was going to take control. Well, you know what? I live in a country that has a constitution. Our children aren't children of the state. They're children of the parents. The parents make the decisions for what's best for their children. And so we let the word out. We let people know. And guess what happened? The governor's office told us this. They had over 17,000 calls and emails. And it was 17,000 to the governor saying, you've got to veto this bill. 450 said, no, sign it into law. Well, guess what Governor Perry did? He vetoed that bill, and that bill is not law in the state of Texas because of people like you who got on their phone, who got on the email. So make sure, even if you don't have a cell phone here, go home, do 9, 10, 11, and send the word T, and we will send you a link so you can get all your representatives. Now, the other thing people say a lot of times is they say, you know, I'm just one person. I mean, really, and I'm not very powerful in my city. I really can't have a lot of impact. Well, I want to tell you a couple of stories to try to discount that for you. We had a few years ago, I met a wonderful group of people. These are Vietnamese Christians who had escaped Vietnam on boats and made it to the United States because of religious persecution. They became citizens here, they naturalized here, they saved their money for many years, and finally a church came open that a Baptist church had for many years. They sold it to a daycare center. The daycare center went out of business, and this church was sitting there waiting to be bought. And they were so excited because they wanted to minister into this neighborhood, to make a positive difference in their community. And they literally emptied all their 401ks, their life savings, and they bought this church. And as they started to occupy their church, they were told by the city, you can't occupy that church. They said, why not? We meet all the health codes, the safety codes. We have plenty of parking spaces way beyond code. We meet everything. No, we have a special law that says if you're a church, you have to own a certain number of acres or you can't be a church. These people came all the way from Vietnam for freedom, and they found Ho Chi Minh in Plano, Texas. And they came to us and they said, can you help us? And they stood their ground. And they said, you know what, this is not just about us, it's about every other group that follows in our footsteps. We have to be faithful to the freedoms in the country that we join. And they stood their ground, and we went into court, and we filed a lawsuit. And I'll tell you, there's been never a more incredible scene than to sit in that courtroom that was filled with these Vietnamese Christians who were there praying as the judge was sitting there listening to the case. And at the end of the hearing, the judge said, I'm reversing this decision by the city. They can enter their church immediately. And there was an explosion in that courtroom of praying and crying. That's what this country's about.